What's up, everyone? This is Alexis Gallardo. Thanks for tuning in to this week's podcast. Today, we have a very special guest in the building. We have Angela Managaniello. She is a bridal and celebrity hair extension extraordinaire, regional educator for Bellami Hair Pro, one of the most reputable brands for hair extensions out there. She's been nominated for Long Island Beauty Awards for Best Extensionist in Long Island, which is so exciting.
So exciting.
So excited for you. She's here to talk about who she is behind the brand, her trial and tribulations, how she went from being a single parent, having full custody of her child, to certifying 400 salons in Long Island and working with one of the biggest names in the game and TV. Ladies and gentlemen, Angela.
Thank you
Welcome
so
to the
much.
show.
Oh, thank you.
Awesome. So we are here. This is exciting. How are you feeling?
Feeling good.
Feeling
I feel like it's
good?
been a long time coming. I've been waiting, to tell my story a little bit more, come back, to myself after the pandemic and just kind of reevaluate my brand, where I'm going, where I've been.
Right.
I don't like to look back, I should say, but I like to take the lessons that I learned from behind me and apply them to my future. So I feel like now's the time to kind of talk about it.
100%. And I'm so excited for you. I went and stalked your page last night. I was like, oh my God, who is this girl? Like, she's amazing. I see you teaching communities of people, learning how to do hair extensions. And what is that like? Like, just being an educator, and like, how did you get here?
So it's how I got, well, it was really it was a long road. I mean, it was something that I put a lot of time and sacrifice and effort in. I started doing hair when I was, probably about 14 in beauty school, so because of my aunt's salon, that inspired me. So, I mean, when I was 7 years old, I was watching my aunt who worked for Chanel put eyeliner on, and my aunt who has her salons now, she's been in business for 30 years. And it was just something that I knew that was in my blood and that I wanted to do. But when I started doing extensions and learned about that, I was actually in Florida and I fell in love. And that was about 2 decades ago.
Yeah, wow.
So I fell in love with the specialty of hair extensions.
Yeah.
And I fell in love with giving people something that they could not have. It's only what, God could typically give them is like full heads of hair.
Right.
And I seen the need, not just the want for them. So I like to create these beautiful masterpieces and these transformations that nobody even knew about back then, because it was just like a one method thing.
Right.
And from there, I decided that, that was where the route I wanted to go.
Yeah, wow. So you started did it all begin in Florida? Like, did you always lived in Florida?
I was introduced to it in Florida. So basically I was there for college for business classes, and I was introduced to it by someone, and she had been doing them. It was at that point just, I think it was like a keratin pot that they had, and I was like, wow, this is amazing. And she had just this long, beautiful hair, and I was like, every woman should have this hair. And when I came home, I actually decided that I wanted to do them because I had a son, and I was like, how am I going to support this child? Like, what am I going to do? I can't just stand behind the chair, blow drying and cutting, and there's nothing wrong with all of that, but I needed to do something that was just the most amount of money in the shortest period of time, because I had to take care of him.
Right.
And I decided then that it was what needed to be done. So I took the plunge and I took a class. And that class was about $1,400. And when you don't even have a dollar to your name,
Right, it's a lot of money.
and you have a child, it's a lot of money.
It's a lot of money. Yeah.
So it was really scary to take that leap of faith.
Right.
And I took that leap of faith with a friend who paid, actually, she would have paid for the extensions, that's how much it would have been. So she actually paid for my class.
Wow.
And I did a full head of hair on her. And so after I guess it was about a 5-hour class, after the 5-hour class, and like your brain is just like going crazy.
Yeah.
I went to her house and did a full install, and I was so meticulous.
No way.
to not break one piece of hair on her head.
Yeah.
So it took me like 5 hours for my first install.
No way. Oh my goodness.
And I was up till like 4 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah, you were dedicated.
I was so dedicated,
Oh my
and
gosh.
I did before and afters, and I wound up marketing myself in tanning salons because there was no social media back then. So I was running around, and I had this idea. I was just like laying in bed one day, and I was like, how am I going to make this money? How am I going to make this work? And I'm like, the tanning salon that just opened up down the block, it's instant gratification. People who want to get tan, they're going to want hair. I'm going to make a flyer. I'm going to ask them if I give them 10% of every single person, I can get a lot of people in a short amount of time. And he
Whoa.
put flyers in every single room, and I got 8 clients that 2 of them I still do today.
No way.
It was insane.
How did you, okay, so you weren't born learning like like these business concepts. Like the fact that you knew that, like, oh, okay, where can I go where people, go for instant gratification and I can do 10% here and all this. Like, how did you learn these business concepts? Like, did you always have that growing up?
I think that a lot of times when your back is up against the wall and you're really afraid, you do a lot of soul searching and manifesting and praying.
Right.
I'd like to say it was from my business, like in school and stuff like that. Like I always had a love for marketing because, being in the salon is just like the shampoo girl I would watch, the inspiration of my family. And that's instilled in you. Like that's maybe in your subconscious mind, but I have to say that it's like when it was the worst part of my life of just wondering what I was going to do and how I was going to do it. I just was praying so hard that I can get there, and it just came to me, like it just came. And I think that it's like you'll do anything for your child. Like you'll do it, most good parents, will do anything for their children.
Right.
So I would have done anything for him.
Right. Right.
And I needed to do something with what I had already. And that's when I just started thinking about ideas of how I was going to get there, but just not just in the salon.
Yeah,
Like I did something in my aunt's salon, and I used my resources. I had a paper with the sign-up sheet, and for every new guest that came in, I would give them a discount. But I still have the sole people from that tanning salon. I still have like 2 of them today.
Wow.
And I will do anything for those people. I'll do anything for them. And it's the beauty of being how I started behind the chair. And then what I got back from it, because I got like 8 people in that 1 week. What I got back from it was more than just like money. And I would count, because at that point it was like you'd get paid per strand.
Right.
So I actually would sit there and count every piece that I would put in, and I would like multiply numbers as I was putting it in, so I would know exactly what I was going to make, because I knew I wasn't going to make that or get it any other way.
Right. Right.
So, by the end of it, just the fulfillment and the self-love that I loved myself. I was loving myself more and more as I was doing it, because I was able to give it back to my son.
Right. Oh my
So yeah, it's a beautiful story that everybody has a story, and there's so many stories that I can tell.
Yeah.
So it's really hard for me to talk about myself. But if I could help one person, I feel like it's worth it to talk about yourself.
100%.
It's worth it to, have that vulnerability, because there's so many people out there that are in my shoes and that they might not believe in themselves.
Right.
And
Exactly.
there's so many people that would just love just to have one person to just say it's going to be okay.
Right. And you can be that voice for those people and a role model for those people.
And that's where I got into like really wanting to be in education as well. Because I had a really great instructor in beauty school who I still connect with to today. And she inspired me. And when I moved to Florida, and then I came back from Florida when I was a new mother and had to take my cosmetology license here, because I wasn't licensed. I wasn't licensed in New York. I moved straight to Florida when I was 17 years old.
What prompted you to move to Florida at 17?
So I really had a tough time at home. So I really wanted to branch out and be independent. It wasn't easy for me because I was always living with my grandmother, and then my parents, they moved out into another home, and it was a small house with my two brothers, and I missed my grandmother, so I'd moved back with my grandmother, and it was kind of like I never really felt like the whole unity anymore because I wasn't with her.
Yeah.
And since I didn't have the greatest of home life with my mother and father, I just felt like it was like my calling to like see different parts of the world. And I left at 17 years old and started, you know, being an independent woman and going to school.
Yeah.
So I did actually, I worked 2 jobs in Florida. I was I was in the salon, and then I also waitressed, and I went to school.
Oh, you waitressed as well?
Yeah, so it was like,
That's hard.
it was at that age where everybody else is partying, and I was always like trying to just make it.
Right.
So that's where like it helped me, like till now. Like I still, everybody's like, how do you do it? How do you do it? You just do it.
Right.
You don't think about it. You just do it because you have to.
Right. Right.
And there's no excuses because nobody wants to hear the excuses. They don't. They don't. It doesn't help to make the excuses.
Yeah, 100%.
And you like, there could be so many different arguments and problems, but what's the solution to the problem? How are you going to make it there?
Right.
What are you going to do?
Right.
And that's where that fire just kept growing and growing. I always felt like I had like a battle, like
Right.
I had to like prepare for battle.
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. So you were always on like a fight or flight kind of
Always.
mode all the time.
Yeah, even a doctor told
That
me
must
that.
have been so stressful for you at 17 years old.
It was
I can
scary.
only
It was
imagine.
stressful. It was
So many
exciting.
things.
Yeah, it was so many things.
Oh my gosh, that's so inspiring though.
Yeah.
You know? And so I'm assuming you didn't really have much support like in your family dynamics, like it was just you by yourself in Florida? Like just working and building this brand. Wow.
I had a friend, and we were, we rented together, and that was fun. But yeah, she decided she wanted to come home, and then my mom had my sister, and I was like, I don't want to be away from my family, like my siblings, because I felt like they needed me.
Right. Right.
You know, I had this thing, like I was like, co-parenting them. So, at that point, like I felt like responsible for my siblings. So, I ran home as soon as she was born, and that was on my 21st birthday. I drove straight through with a dog in my car.
No way.
Yep. Drove straight
From Florida to New York.
from Florida to New York.
How long is that drive?
It took me about 27 hours on my 21st birthday. Yeah.
Oh my God.
So my determination is like, when I get something in my brain, it's just like a freight train. It's just going.
You're just like a go-getter. Like you just don't stop.
Yeah,
Wow.
I think I had like white line fever. I was actually smacking myself in the face because I didn't sleep. Because I couldn't take the dog to a hotel, and I was petrified driving by myself as a young girl. So I had a hoodie on. I actually dressed like a boy.
Oh my
And
God.
I put the hoodie on. I literally had the dog in the cage on the side, and I was afraid to take the dog out because I was afraid something was going to happen. I was scared.
Yeah.
I was
Oh my
scared.
God. You're like on survival mode this
Yep.
whole time. That's so wild. Wow.
Yeah.
Like I'm like processing that. Like,
It's a lot of information
No,
about
but,
me.
like, no, but that's like-
Some people know, some people don't. Some people like it. Some people don't care, but
like
yeah.
it's important that it's told though. You know what I mean? It can't be kept in. Like it's good that you talk about it.
yeah, absolutely. I mean, from doing behind the chair and being able to support my son, I got that confidence level. I was like thinking, oh my God, I just got this Mercedes. I'm, in my 20s, and then I was like, yeah, but this isn't it. This isn't it for me. Like I'm not just done here. Like there's more. I want to give back now.
Okay. So when did that shift happen? So you took a class at BOCES, I'm
I
assuming,
took the
right?
class actually at Long Island Beauty School.
Beauty school. Okay. Is that where the journey started? Where you felt the itch to like
Yeah,
everything?
so I took this class in Long Island Beauty School, and I was just like, this is going to be the best thing. And after I took the class, they wanted to know who I was because after I had those tanning salon flyers, I was ordering so much hair that everybody's like, who is this girl?
Yeah.
And how is she ordering hundreds and hundreds of dollars in hair in 1 week? And it was just like, okay, you need to come down and be our educator.
Yeah.
So then I went down and I did the application and applied for the educator. I got the job on the spot. I was 23.
Oh my God.
24.
Wow.
And I did my first job at Long Island Beauty School, and I had 20 people in this class.
Oh my
So it was like astronomical, because back then nobody even knew what extensions were.
Right.
Nobody knew. It was like, what are these things?
Right.
And because I had that class, I was like, I have an idea. Let me go show the industry what this is about. So I started going and doing demonstrations in each salon. So I would show them how to put them in. I'd show them how to take them out. People would sign up for classes. We do them in hotels. We do them in the beauty school. And I formed like beautiful, long-lasting relationships.
Oh my gosh.
And the money wasn't even in my brain anymore like it was. It was like I wasn't thinking about the money. I was thinking about the happiness that I was bringing to the industry, and the level of commitment that I had to giving back to something that gave to me what I needed so much.
That is so beautifully said.
It was so nice.
What was it like teaching like your first class or your first few classes? Like, were you a natural at it? Were there any challenges that came up for you?
So my class was taught by an ethnic woman that really didn't speak very well English. So for me, I was like, this is really great because, you know, they're going to be able to understand me better. So I did have a little bit more confidence because I was learning from someone that I didn't really understand so much, so that I felt like they could understand me much more.
Right.
And I realized that I couldn't do it alone. I needed someone to go with me. So I met this one woman, and she was older than me by like 10 years. And she was like the yin and the yang. So I was like this like young, like, you know, boisterous, like more louder one in the class.
Right.
And then she was somebody who was more soft-spoken.
Right, right.
So we both complemented each other so much. And we would just go out together and we'd do them, and the flow was just beautiful because, you know, when I would practice my pause, she would come in and she'd be more soft-spoken. I'd take a break and a breath.
Right,
And
right.
it
Oh
was
my
just, it was
gosh.
really nice.
Right.
Yeah, and another person that I still speak till this day. Yeah,
Oh my
very
gosh.
nice.
So you visited 400 salons in Long Island?
So the two of us started going out, and we visited and certified from that just one company.
No way.
400 salons on the
my
island.
gosh.
Yeah.
Oh
Yeah.
my gosh.
And that was just on the island, but we had such a passion for it that, you know, I branched off to seeing the factory in Italy, that they actually made the extensions, to see how it was actually processed, to
Right.
understand the whole manufacturing situation with it. And yeah, I just loved it. So I just kept going.
Right,
And
right.
as it evolved and all of these steps were taken, I just kept on going up and up with it. So unfortunately, when that company started like going downhill, I left. That part wasn't unfortunate for me. It was unfortunate for them. And I went on to doing a lot of trade shows all around USA.
Oh my gosh.
So that was a lot for me because I had to leave my son.
When did you start doing trade shows? Was it definitely weren't 23. How old were you when that started?
So I started doing trade shows probably in 2009.
Oh wow. Oh my gosh.
And
So you're doing hair extensions at trade shows. Are there other competitors there too?
there's
I'm
tons
assuming?
of competition. So there'd be times that I would work for 3 days straight and I wouldn't eat
Oh my gosh.
and I wouldn't drink.
Oh wow.
Because I was just pounding in hair and
Yeah.
I was just on. I was on.
Right,
Like I would
right.
eat, but it would be like very little.
Right, right.
And like we'd get dinner at night, but like, so can't say like I was like emaciated, but like when I say not eating and not drinking, it wasn't like your normal eating and drinking. It was like you're on for all those hours and they're paying for your flight. They're bringing you on. You want to be the best that you can. You want to look the part. You got to be on stage. it was like wild. And you want everybody to accept you because you're in the first class that the first show I ever did was in Chicago, and it was just like the real life.
Oh my God.
So I go into this house with,
Oh my God.
I don't know anybody.
Yeah.
I have no idea who these people are.
Is it mostly like women dominated, male dominated? Is it a mixture of both? Like
There was men. I mean, it was the company. It was a man who owned it.
Yeah.
It was a husband and wife who owned this company, and then there was there was a brother and sister. There was maybe some guys that helped out in the back, move things around.
Got you. Yeah.
But then there's beautiful models, and then there's us who are the educators. I know nobody. I just got hired.
Right,
And they
right.
just fly you there.
Oh
And you
my
just go in this house. It's like the real life. I swear to God. Like I'm making meatballs for people. My nickname was Meatball. I'm making meatballs. I'm putting broccoli out with some cheese. We're sitting at a big table eating. The guy's so happy he doesn't have to pay for everybody.
Oh
We
my
just got it like,
God.
yeah, it was some good times. And what happened
It was positive experience. Like it was.
it was nerve wracking.
good.
But then once I got there, now what's so beautiful about it is because like we became a family. So like
Right,
my home life, right, kind of like all of that disappeared because now I have this new group. That's my family. The only thing is that I have Christian, right? So the sacrifice of being away for like a full weekend, it took a toll on me,
Right.
because by the time I would get back and I would be doing these shows, I'm just exhausted.
Right,
I'm
right.
just like, I need a vacation from that, know?
Yeah.
And then I still had to come home and like make sure that everything was good with him. And I, thankfully had my grandmother to help me with my son, but yeah, multitasking. So like now when people say like, why don't you slow down? Like slow down. And I'm like, I can't slow down. Are you kidding me right now?
Oh my gosh. Yeah. It's not in your vocab to slow down.
You
Like,
want me to slow
yeah.
down after I just sacrificed all of that
Right. Right.
for all of those years? I will not.
Right. Right. Oh my gosh.
Never.
Yeah.
Never.
Yeah.
Because you know what? I still want to be that person for my son rallying with that torch. And because when I see him do so well, then I know that everything I did, all the times I closed my eyes on those flights when I was scared and just looked at his face in my head, I know that I did it for a good reason. And every time he does good, and when he went to college, and now he's he's a wrestler in school, and I talk to him, and I hear his voice, and he tells me he had a good day. I just know it's all worth it. I'm not gonna give up.
Right. Right. Oh man. He probably looks up to you so much.
Yeah, and he said to me, he's like, why do you want to win this? Like this this nomination or whatever. And I'm like, because I fucking deserve it.
Right.
I deserve it, and I know I do.
100%.
I know I do. I know I do because of all the good reasons and all the good things I've done.
Right.
I've taught all of these people. I've sacrificed so much of my life, and I've worked after the hardest times in my life. I've had instances where I had to work a day after somebody passed in my life, very, very close to me. And that was probably the hardest thing I ever had to do. And I wouldn't let anybody down. I wouldn't even let somebody down for my own happiness. I just wouldn't. So
Right.
why should I give up?
Yeah.
Now.
Yeah.
If I'm going to do it then, why not keep it up?
Yeah, no, totally. Do you prioritize self-care? Is there like do you ever take a break? Or is it just always like, I don't know, I just
So
have to
like
keep
my
going?
idea of breaks, it's funny because, for 20 years I've been in therapy, literally, which I'm very proud to say because not a lot of people have stayed consistent with,
Yeah.
trying to better themselves.
Right.
And just like with the same person.
it's painful.
Like I tell therapists, they're like, you might need, no, I don't need a new therapist. It's not because of that. It's because I like to stay keeping my brain and my neurotransmitters straight on to what I want. And I don't want to lose track. I'm going to stay on that track. Because if I need to go to the doctor, why not help myself in another way?
Right.
Why not help my mental?
Right.
If I get sick, I need to go to the doctor. So with my mental, I need to keep that grounded as well.
Yeah.
You're going to make it. And my self-care now is making sure that I give the time to my new kids. I make sure that I give more time to just like things that make me happy, whether it's just like beauty regimen routines, spend time with my girlfriends here and there,
Right.
try to have balance with that, try to let people know that I love them. That makes me feel good.
Right. Right.
Things like that.
What advice would you give to someone that can help them adopt that mentality of just being driven and just being a go-getter? It's just, do you have to have like a passion or something, like a challenge you're going through to get through this?
So I do give advice a lot because that's the mommy in me, I think, since I've been a mommy for almost 20 years.
Yeah.
And I tell them, like the girls, that, I say just take one day at a time and take one step in the right direction. Stop thinking about everything in its entirety because it can get so overwhelming. So if you could just make that little checkbox just for the day,
Yeah.
that's enough.
Yeah.
But just have that vision for that day and know what you want. Because if there's so many things that you're thinking about, well, maybe I should do this, maybe I should do that. Try to focus in on like really what you want, whether it's like the specialty that you want. It could be just getting something, obtaining something,
Right.
and then working in that step process to get there.
Yeah.
I
100%.
think that's what it was for me. I was like, okay, what do I want? Okay, well, what do I want to achieve? Well, I want to achieve being able to provide for my son. That's the most important thing. So how am I going to get to that?
Right. Right.
How am I going to get there?
Was there ever a point where you felt like you wanted to quit or leave the industry and do something else?
Oh boy, this is a big question.
Have you ever thought about leaving the industry, quitting?
Recently.
Oh.
Yeah.
Ooh, the tea.
Yeah.
Let's talk about that, Angela.
This is the tea.
You can spill the tea
So,
if you're comfortable.
recently I had a very difficult situation with an individual. I don't want to talk so much about exactly that situation because it would be unfair. But I found out that the person that I was involved with had an illness. So I didn't know that at the time. So basically, I've been doing this for all these years and I've never felt the level of defeat like I felt at this moment because I couldn't really help this individual. So I've taught people that have like no fingers.
Yeah.
I've literally taught people how to put in hair that have no fingers.
Yeah.
I've taught people that have special needs. I've taught people that are on every end of like the spectrum because I did teach adult education. After teaching all the salons, I actually went back to the beauty school that I did my first class at, and I wanted to give back. So I taught advanced hair cutting and styling, and I would do mods, and I took a severe pay cut at this time. And this is when I had all this experience teaching all these types of individuals. So I'm thinking that I could do it. I'll always be able to do it. There's nothing you're going to put in my way. I had an ego, like I don't even know. Well, I got beat down this one day.
Wow.
And I had a smile on my face going through it. I was professional. I'm 42 years old. I was 23 when I got into this game. Well, just God said to me, it's time for you to understand that there's always going to be an obstacle that you might not be able to, jump over.
Right.
And after I got finished and I felt like I didn't help that person, like to my standards.
Ooh.
It was to my standards.
Yeah, that's the hardest standard to hit, the one with yourself.
Yeah, so I was just like,
I swear.
I had a very dark moment. And I was like, why am I here? And I was petrified because I've never felt that way before. And I didn't think about my son. I always think about my son or my kids. I have 3, and I didn't think about them. I didn't think about my family, my future, my friends. I shut the light off. I was in a dark place, in a dark room. And I was like, I just can't do this anymore. I was like, I don't have anything else. I don't have any more to give? I've given every drop of my blood. How much more can I do? And I called out to all my lifelines. I called out to my cosmetology teacher I told you about. Called out to my aunt that owns a salon. I called out like for help. I was like, I don't know what to do. I don't like the way I feel.
Right.
And my therapist I talked to, and he said, you know, when you feel like you're under a tremendous amount of stress, it wasn't that one situation, you know, people can just like snap, you know?
Yeah.
And I'm like, no, it's not, that's not, I just knew that then I later found out that it had to do with this individual had like an illness. So that's when I said, it's okay. Sometimes it's okay if you don't feel like it's enough, because it is. As long as you did the best that you can do.
Right.
It was enough.
Right.
And I was okay.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh my God, I'm so glad to hear that, like, you felt like good after reaching out to your community, like the people that you trusted, you know, they were there to help you, and they brought you out of this dark moment in your life. Yeah. And we're bound to have a lot of those moments when we're going through career and just life, you know?
Totally.
Yeah. I know I don't know if this is related, but I remember you mentioning to me the importance between how it's not community, but it's not competition, but community.
Oh, yeah. I love this.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love this. So I don't know. I think it was like on Instagram, one of my Bellamy family like posted it, and I don't know exactly if it was definitely her who originated this, but it just kind of resonated in me, and I like to just talk about it. It's community, not competition, because the way I see it is a lot of artists out there need to remember that we're all artists, and it's not that the people in your chair, you know, you own them. They have a right to go to different artists. There's different people out there that want to explore different things sometimes, and that's okay.
Right.
There shouldn't be any anger about that.
Right.
Right? It's okay for them to explore different things. And it's okay for people to do different things. Maybe they don't want to specialize in extensions. That's okay. But not community, not competition, meaning like we're all these artists that when we look at something, we're going to have different perceptions and different perspectives. So we're going to make these creative, beautiful transformations for each and every individual. And everybody should be respecting everybody's work. Like you're looking at a picture and you're looking at a masterpiece and you're seeing different things. Like I could see it as one thing and you could see it as another.
Right.
And it's still going to be, you know, in a different perspective, but it's beautiful.
It's beautiful.
It's
way.
beautiful.
Yeah.
So that's where it's at. And I think that it's important that as artists that you don't lose sight in the fact that there's enough people out there to go around. Extensions have become another service in this industry that, you know, is just like hair color or hair cutting.
Right.
Going back to when I started till now, you know, it's a want and a need and every single thing in between.
Right.
You're creating, you know, different color looks. You're creating density. You're helping people that have basically no hair, or you're giving people who have a lot of hair just longer hair. Whatever that you're creating, it's just a staple now in the salon that we could do anything. We could bring in a picture and create anything.
Right.
So it's community, not competition. And that's what I feel like is just so impactful to me to even tell my learners about, and that it's important for them to understand.
Right.
Because the more that you're a community, the more the word's going to get out there.
Right.
And the more people are going to love it, because everybody has more love that's generated out, and it's all going around.
Right. And it tells a bigger story too, because it's not,
Totally.
you know, it's different for every person. Not every person gets hair extensions because they want longer extensions. There's so many other reasons why they get it.
Yes.
Did hair extensions, this industry start off as a luxury, or did it start off as like a necessity? Like people like needed it, like, you know what I mean?
I think people thought at first it was more of a luxury. They thought that it was just for like length purposes.
Yeah.
And then when they understood that it's not, like when just the outer, consumers just understood, like, wow, like I really could just put a pack in and just get all this fullness, and it's fixing all these issues that I had.
Right.
It's a wonderful thing.
Yeah, 100%. Oh my gosh. So how did you get, okay, well, I mean, you already explained the whole story, but I saw that you did hair extensions for the Jersey Shorecast. How did you like, yeah.
So that was Darian.
Yeah. Oh, no way. Okay,
Yeah,
cool.
so in the interim, it was just one person in the class, but in the interim, Darian has sent me some celebrities, So she's the celebrity makeup artist.
Yeah.
I've been, happy and honored to be best friends with her for like 13 years.
Oh,
so I work a little bit with her with bridal, but she also has got me onto some different things with her for the sets. And yeah, that was interesting.
Yeah.
That was definitely an
Oh my
interesting
God.
part
Oh, yeah?
of what was going on, and yeah,
Yeah?
totally. Yeah.
Why is that?
Well, so I've talked about the beauty within me being behind the chair with creating a service for people who need it, right? And that when it gives me the fulfillment part of it.
Gotcha.
So with that part of it, it's more of like a want instead of a need. So it's more for their industry and what they're doing, which is maybe being on set or
right.
so it's not for me. I love it. I love that part of it. I love dipping my feet in different waters and experiencing different things, but it was just a different part of my career.
Yeah, a different experience.
Definitely a different experience.
Well, let me ask you this. Is it a favorable experience? You can be honest, and we don't have to.
Whenever I work with Darian, it's a favorable experience.
I love that.
Whenever I'm with her.
100%. That's a given. Yeah.
So, because she gives out the same love and vibes that I do. So, it's always a good time. But with that, you have to travel a lot. You're on their time, which is hard for me with children. So it's not that I would not do it, but it would have to work with my schedule, being that I'm so limited.
Right.
So that part of it is trying for me.
Yeah. Do you find yourself traveling often for your work?
So when I do bridal, I do travel. However, I try to not travel as much because I gave so many years of my career sacrificing and traveling. Like I said, I don't look behind me because I want to learn from what I did and grow in a new direction.
Right.
So that's where that goes.
Oh, that's so
hand in
interesting,
hand.
because there are people that's like their dream is to travel and do their work, and you're the opposite, and that's okay. There's nothing wrong with that, like you have kids and responsibilities at home, and
I've been there.
Yeah.
I've done that. I did it from 2009 to 2016, traveling. It's a long road, especially when you're working 3 days nonstop.
Yeah.
When you're doing those shows.
Yeah.
I went from, California, then you're on planes for 5 hours. It's a long.
It's a lot.
People forget. They're like, "How old are you?" And I'm like, "I'm 42." I was doing that all, in my 20s,
and like the jet
into my
lag
30s.
and all that. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Totally.
I can imagine. Oh my gosh. Geez. Biggest takeaways from that? Like, would you recommend people travel for their work? Like,
I do. I recommend for people to definitely take the plunge and say yes to everything that they can, because I feel like getting your name out there is super important. Networking is always really important. In every event that you're invited to, as you're starting up and coming, go for it. Put your applications out there. Dabble in each and everything, in maybe that specialty, that niche that you want to go into. I don't think anything should ever hold you back. Especially if you don't have attachments. If you don't have those responsibilities and you're able to do it, and do it.
Right.
If they're in front of you, go for it.
Right.
And if you're scared, reach out to somebody. that can help motivate you. And don't be
Right.
afraid of that, because there are people to help you, and there are people that do care.
Right.
Maybe go back, to maybe a mentor that you had in school or something of that nature, because there has to be someone out there that has inspired you. And even if you told them that they did, they'd want to help you.
Yeah.
They'd want to do more. Because it's just the law of attraction, Whatever you put out, you get back.
Right.
So
Right.
that's
Yeah.
what I would suggest. There's been people and students that have reached out to me that said, "Oh my God, you helped me so much back then." And I'll ask them, "How you doing right now? Like,
Yeah.
what's going on? I still
Yeah.
follow you. Like, I still
Yeah.
love you. I'll still give out that love."
Right, right. Oh my God. It all stems from here. The foundation is in here, That is amazing. How did you get your foot into Bellami?
Okay.
Yeah.
Yes. So how did I get my foot into Bellami? So the hair shows that I was doing.
See, one thing leads to
Yeah.
another, leads to another. Yep,
Yeah.
yep. I love that.
The hair shows that I was doing wounded up having me meet a bunch of people in that house that I told you about. And one of which, I guess she's the one who hired me. Well, she was the one who hired me.
Yeah.
And she had came up to me in that house and said to me, "You're going to be really great." And I was like, wow, like this girl, if she thinks I'm going to be really great, I got to be great.
Right, right. Oh my God. The pressure. But you seem to work very well under pressure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I do now.
Yeah. It wasn't always like
But
that. Yeah.
when she told me to take out the model's hair and I was supposed to put it on a board a certain way, and I just took it out and put it in a bowl.
No.
That
Oh my
was
gosh.
not,
Yeah.
really desirable. And she's
Oh.
like, "It's all right, no problem." And I knew I got her so mad, because when you take it out that way, you have to put it in a specific order so the layers are proper and the angles are proper, and like you make mistakes to learn, right?
Right.
But
right.
like I should have known that, but I was so nervous when she
Right.
said I was going to be so great. I was like, shit.
Oh, was this like the first model you were working on when you like started?
When I got into that house, yeah, we had to drop out the hair so we could put it in at the show.
Damn.
Yeah.
That's like that's okay. Oh my God.
Yeah. So then that person, she was one of the people that I just took just a love to, and she was a really, really strong leader. She was amazing and is amazing at everything that she does till this day. And I just started teaching with her. Actually, for that company, there was a few classes that we did teach together, and we roomed together, and they didn't treat her right. So we were in a hotel together, and they didn't have like the room covered. She was like, had all her stuff. She's walking around with all this stuff, and I'm like, "Don't worry, I won't leave you. Like, everything's going to be okay." She ended up being sick. I didn't leave her side.
Yikes, yeah.
Like, I stood by her side. Then, from there, she seen that I was loyal, and we became like, buddies whenever we'd travel together. And like, there was one time we drank too much together, and like, we'd have some just like crazy stories about that.
Yeah,
So we just built this like beautiful
Yeah.
like friendship and relationship. And
Yeah.
then because they weren't treating her right, she ended up leaving, and she was the head of education for Bellami.
Oh no way.
And it was like that song, "I Will Follow You."
Yeah.
So
Oh
like
my God.
I just followed her wherever the hell she went. I was like, "All right, everybody, it's time for me to leave here. I'm just gonna move on."
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
So she was like another big, inspiration for me.
Yeah.
And that's how I got into there. So I followed her, and I trained at the beauty bar right in the city. So like there's so many different things that you could do. If you decide you want to go into the city, there's the Bellami beauty bar right in the city, and you could do like retail there,
Yeah.
or you could be a stylist there. And in my for me, I was like, I just want to get my foot in the door, because that's
Right.
what she's doing, so I just want to be there. And I was like 8 months pregnant with my second son, and I was taking the train from Long Island into Manhattan at 8 months pregnant because I just wanted the opportunity.
Yeah. Oh
Because
my
I wanted the opportunity.
God. Wow. But that is like.
So I'd come back on the train with this big belly, and I would be like,
Ready to pop.
like weaving and bobbling, and like my stomach would get so hard, and I'm like, I might have this baby like right now on
No
the train,
way.
or
Oh
in
my
Bellamy,
God.
who knows?
Yeah.
I would have been a Bellamy boy, I don't know, but
Right?
yeah.
When was this?
That was on 2000, and that was 2018, like 2017, 2018.
Oh, I see.
And then I was supposed to have my son and then go back to the city, and that's when I had the death in the family, and I was not able to fulfill that.
Right.
So I took a break from working in with Bellamy from 2018 until 2020.
Oh.
And it was in the middle of the pandemic.
Yeah.
And I was like, I had COVID, and then I was like, shit, like I have COVID, and they're doing an onboarding for a training, so I might as well just go.
Yeah.
I might as well just freaking fly to Texas.
Oh my God.
So because I had it, I was like, I might as well just take the plunge because they're doing an onboarding and fill out an application.
Yeah.
And then they freaking hired me.
Oh my God.
And in the pandemic, I took a flight to do my onboarding to be the regional educator.
And you had COVID.
I had it previously.
Gosh, you.
And because I had it, I wasn't afraid to fly and get it.
Right.
Because everybody was saying you can get it in the flights.
Right.
But
right.
I went. So that's when I decided that I was going to go and take the plunge. So like in the middle of the pandemic, I'm going on a flight to Texas, taking this class because that would be my story, right?
Holy crap.
That would be my story.
Yeah, that is wild.
I have to say, I mean, like I said, it was a roller coaster.
Yeah.
It was a long way to get. It was a long way to get here, but I took the leap of faith, and I became the regional educator, and here I am. I'm still here, regional educator.
That is amazing. Yeah, I see all your videos on Instagram too of you teaching people and like listening to the terminology that you're saying in these videos. I'm like, whoa, I don't know.
Yeah, they're really strict on their terminology.
Yeah.
I mean, it was a 2-week training, a very intense 2-week training, and I think actually, because it was in the pandemic, it is 2 weeks, but because of that, I think they cut it down a little bit because I don't think we were really allowed to stay for too long. There was like a lot of guidelines going on at that time.
Yeah.
But I came back, and I was so glad that I did it because I was offered 2 different opportunities at that time before I got in with Bellamy. Oh. But what was happening is they were throwing rocks from the bridge, like those bridges, there was a whole thing going on where there was like riots and stuff. Oh. So I was too afraid for the first opportunity that I was given. Oh, wow. So it was meant to be that I went to Bellamy because it was after the riots is when I actually went. Wow. Yeah, so I could have went another direction. Just like one thing just will turn you this way. Right. And it was like the universe gave you a sign. It was like, no, maybe you should go in this route instead. Yeah. You know, and it's so interesting how the universe gives you signs like that. Like it's just, you know what I mean? Yeah. That's so crazy. I know. It's pretty intense. It is. Well, it was such a pleasure talking to you today, Angela. This was such a great insight into your life, and I think that a lot of people are going to be able to relate and are inspired by your story. So thank you for being on the pod. My pleasure. Yes. My pleasure. Let the people know how they can reach out to you right over there. So you can go right on my Instagram at Angel Hair EXT or Angela Managaniello Facebook. And if you ever want to text me or you want to reach out, you can text me as well at 631-626-7252. Awesome. You got it. And that's a wrap, y'all.